Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Captain America Sentinel of Liberty, issue number 3. For the most part, this was a really good comic book. All the stuff that involved Captain America proper in this, really good. Wasn't a huge fan of the Bucky stuff, but we'll get to all that good stuff. First, let's give credit where credit's due. So, this is issue number 3. The writers are Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. The artist is Carmen Carnero, one of the best artists that Marvel has ever had. And so happy that she's on Captain America right now. Letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. Color artist Nolan Woodard. Incredible colorist. There's a variant cover by Simone Bianchi, but Carmen Carnero and Alejandro Sanchez does the regular cover. And of course, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby are the creators of Captain America. So again, we got, this Peggy Carter and Bucky thing, and they're playing cards with only one hand because they got a pistol pointed at each other underneath the table. Like, come on. Like, just come on. For the love of God. This is so... Why? Why? Ugh. At one point, she stands up and she points it at him. It was already pointed at him. Well, you wanted to point at his face instead of at his, gun? At his crotch? Come on. I don't know. He's trying to talk to her because he thinks that she's been compromised. She says she hasn't been compromised, but that's what every compromised person says. So she's like, if it's true, then I'll find who compromised me and I'll compromise their teeth. But I'm not going to accept any help from you, Winter Soldier. You think you did all those things where you weren't aware, but you were aware. It's one of those things where it's like, look, mental illness, mind control, brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, when someone else tells you what you're thinking, there's something wrong with that individual. Like, from the beginning to the end, there's something wrong, right? Somebody's saying you've been compromised, somebody's been manipulating you, that's one thing. But when they say you knew what you were doing, that just sounds so childish. Why would you ever say something like that? So every single thing about this and the fight back and forth, at one point she goes and starts throwing the playing cards at him like she's Bullseye. Come on, man. And I know that it's possible to do that in real life. I don't know if you can really cut somebody with it, but I know you could actually wing the cards. Once they introduced Gambit to the world, every single kid back in the 80s was doing, or the early 90s was doing that, so it's not saying a lot. But the whole thing was just kind of whatever. With Captain America, this was the really cool stuff. We start off with Cap in this ditch. Remember, there's a big explosion, and he's just laying there, and he protects himself by covering himself behind the shield. That, I don't know that that's how that thing works. But you know what? I'm willing to go for it. Who cares? Because it's still it's a great image to see. When you got Carmen Carnero doing that art, just shut up and enjoy it. So this robot thing that Cap thinks is a human later on, called the Redacted, shows up. Introduction on the cover, right? Shows up and just starts coming forward and says, by order of Stephen Rogers, by order of the Outer Circle, you have been redacted. History will not remember you. So they go into what the Redacted is, and it's actually really cool the way they do this, because the image right on the front where Cap is, the whole thing goes bada boom, and he's hiding behind the shield on the first page with Cap, says the Forge. They show the image of the shield way up in the sky, and it's blacked out, almost like it's trying to eclipse the sun. And it clearly can because of how close it is and how large it is in general. And there's a mountain directly underneath it. It almost looks like it's indicating it's that the some people say the Freemason sign of the eye on top of the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, right, that you'll see on the back of the dollar bill. Stuff like that's cool. The imagery in this and everything, it's absolutely gorgeous, fantastic. I love this. And then you see the very next image, the very next panel, is that exact image is in Cap's eye, but the sun is his iris. It's like, dude, come on. That is so good. Such incredible art. This redacted thing isn't the coolest looking thing I've ever seen, but that's fine. Cap realizes that it's made from vibranium or adamantium or something like that, and he mentions, he's like, I've only heard that sound before when it slices across his shield. The first time I fought Logan. This is indicating, I'm really disappointed to not see the editor's note at the bottom, indicating that this actually happened in Captain America Annual, issue number 8. That's that incredibly beautiful cover of Wolverine slashing down and Captain America, holding the shield up high and the metal slashing against metal. And oh, if you could imagine that sound, and that actually happened in the comics, in the comic also. And it was an amazing, amazing comic book. That was the one where Cap says, "You'll never be an Avenger as long as I'm alive." And then Joe Quesada came along. Anyway, so there's so much things like this that happen in the comic book that were just ecstatic. Wow. I was like almost shaking. I was enjoying this so much, right? Good emotion in the book. I felt like Captain America's actually fighting. At one point, he's getting his butt kicked, and then he has to, and he's just hiding behind the shield, and it's like, this is the thing that you don't want to see from a Captain America. Captain America hiding behind the shield is boring, right? If you ever watch wrestling or whatever it's called, the Jake Paul Impulsive, I think he calls it, his podcast, he had Triple H from wrestling on there. If you're not a wrestling fan, don't worry. This doesn't actually involve wrestling, but Jake Paul just signed there, and Triple H is being interviewed with him with all of the WWE executives along the side, making sure nothing bad happens, right? To just pull the plug on this, to just yank it closed. But they're talking about, movies and just the way that, you capture a scene and write a scene and really put together a beautiful story, right? An incredible story. Triple H says that, when he was in Hollywood, he was doing a bunch of things in Hollywood and, hanging out with The Rock and all that stuff. And at one point, somebody, I don't remember who he said it was, but some brilliant writer, director says, a machine gun gets boring after 60 seconds. But you give me just one bullet, one moment in time. And it's indicative, like one target, one distance, one gun, one eye, one victim, one bead of sweat. Like just little things like that. He's like, and I'll give you an entire story. It's true. Everything doesn't have to be the, rush, Russia and all these crazy things happening. Sometimes it could just be a single scene. Almost every single panel on this scene involving Captain America was telling a story. I want to say that again for the people in the back. Every panel felt like a story. Did you hear me? It was beautiful. The artwork in this, the direction of the art, which was initially predicated by the writers, absolutely beautiful. Every panel told a story, every single one of them. When Cap was being overrun and he's just, shield, protecting, all of a sudden he's like, I've got to go into offensive mode now. And how does he do it? How does Captain America go into offensive mode? He starts thinking about, I remember Private so-and-so always trying to, practice the long jump with me. And Private so-and-so, like Sergeant so-and-so, going, surviving against a German bayonet. And Bucky running along the rooftops looking for the perfect angle and this and the other. He mentions Bucky another time. He's like, wow, I'm in a underground volcanic secret lair. Bucky's going to be so mad that he missed this. And I'm like, yes, he really would, I loved everything involving Captain America in this. Even the goofy part where he sees it might have been the original, actually it was apparently the original cast mold for his shield. And he just puts his shield, he's like, it fits perfectly. And then all of a sudden a laser comes down, like on a laser disc or a CD. It starts playing. They say at one point, the shield will be your teacher. Right? I didn't expect it to be, so listen to it. I didn't expect them to be so literal with it. I didn't expect them to do anything with that so soon. It would have been nice if I'd heard that in this issue, but then it plays S.H.I.E.L.D. like 3-5 issues later, something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, we're reset. That would have been interesting. In the meantime, it's goofy and it's silly, but like I got so invested in the Captain America scenes in the Captain America comic book that when it started playing a voice recording on his shield, like it was a CD, I'm like, wow. But I still loved it. The message is in the comic book. Feel free to read it. You should consider buying this comic book. It was very, very enjoyable. So much of this, specifically the Captain America scenes, man, it's so weird. It's like night and day. The Bucky stuff was boring as hell. Peggy Carter's gonna beat up Bucky. When did this happen? Where it's like Bucky was this incredible dude, and all of a sudden, we need to have a Bucky comic book, a Bucky series where somebody just loves the character and says, you know what? Bucky realized that since he's been nice, he's been holding back, and he's been made to look like a chump, where even Hawkeye is beating him up. It's like, come on, you know? So he's got to find his aggressive nature again, but learn how to control it at the same time and not be afraid to unleash. That'd be a really great comic book, I think. You know, struggling with that human emotion. I've got to remain effective to do what I do, which is saving people, you know, and if he doesn't stop holding back, right? That would have been really cool. Or something like that would be really cool with how much he's been chumped this way, that way, and every which way but loose. The Cap scenes, though, man. We're learning more about his history. I don't know that I actually like what they're doing with his history, the history of his shield at least, right? But at least the writers know who this character is. They know his history. Hopefully they just focus on that and give us an incredible story. I feel like I'm too invested in this comic book to just turn back or to give up on it, right? If the whole thing turns sideways. But for right now, I really am having a lot of fun with this. I've already read 2 comic books this week, and I look at this one, I'm just like, what's going to be better this week than this? We'll find out. But for now, wow. Really enjoyed the hell out of this. Guys, make sure you grab this comic book, and don't forget to like the video and watch an ad. Talk to you guys later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.